Hey, Throughlines. It's time for another episode of the Throughlines podcast. Today, we are talking about artificial intelligence, AI, ChatGPT, Sora, all these things. Anything and everything is on the table, and we're going to talk about how do we as Christians interact with it, how do we use it, how do we not use it, what should we do with it. So it's going to be a good episode. Let's get into it.
Co-fellow this morning, and it was delightful.
What'd you have?
I just went simple. I did the drip coffee.
Nice.
Just drip, black. The guy I met with had
roasted?
the chider.
Chider.
That's what it's called.
Oh, is it chai cider? Yeah, I saw that. It looks interesting. Looks good.
I don't know. That's a little too much, like apple
lots
and spice.
Of flavor.
That's
of flavor there.
Flavor there.
Lots of flavor.
So, as I was thinking about a little bit of this episode today, sometimes I can make all these weird little random connections.
Right,
I don't have any of that today.
You don't have it?
So my question today for you, though, to kind of get us started on this, what's the silliest thing you've ever put into an AI prompt?
Interesting question. What's the silliest thing I've ever put into an AI prompt? I don't know. A lot of times, I'll ask it, just questions I have about the world. So, that question was going around a long time ago. Are there more doors or wheels in the world? Did you hear that question?
No. That's
yeah, it's very intriguing, and there's a lot of
are there more
debate on either side because you have office buildings, right, which have a bunch of doors, but there's also a lot of carts in those office buildings that have wheels. And so it's really hard.
That's
question.
a rabbit hole.
But anyways, so I'll ask you stuff like that. Like if I have a really stupid question that there's no way I could have the answer to, it can, source out all that information and give me somewhat of a sensible answer. I don't know. What have you put in there? You put in some goofy stuff?
Maybe. I mean, when I talk to some people about church planting, I put in some stuff of give me a stereotypical church planter. And then I try to add the prompt or the elements of that person's personality. And then I say, now roast them.
Okay.
And then I send the friend the roast.
Okay.
Or the jokes about them. So I've done that a couple times.
So you use it more conceptually.
Yes.
I use it more I have a hyper-specific question that I want to know the answer to. So I use it kind of like a search engine.
I should clarify that. I use it conceptually for fun little things like that. There have been times where it's very helpful, I think.
For goofy stuff.
Yeah. But there's times where very specific prompting.
Sure.
Help reword this. Help concise this.
Yeah.
I mean, our phones do that now.
Help concise this. That was a good sentence.
See, it would have
Josh needs help concising things. Yeah.
Absolutely, I do. And that's why it's important for us to talk about this because there's all sorts of uses for AI.
Right.
Good, bad, evil.
Good, bad, and evil.
Benevolent. I had to think
Benevolent,
of another.
Yeah, another good thing. Neutral.
Neutral, yeah. So that's what we're talking about today, right?
We're talking about artificial intelligence.
What you guys don't know is Zach all along has been really just a robot talking and producing all of this. That's why you never see him on camera.
Actually,
he's not real.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, robot, stop.
That's a funny time to bring this up. This is the first time I've ever set up a camera to where people can see me. So I'm cutting
you're on
my shot right now.
That's so funny.
Pointing at the camera saying, "Hello, world."
Just like Pinocchio, he's a real human boy.
That's awesome. Hey, if you want to see Zach's beautiful face, go watch on YouTube.
That's true. That's true. Don't just listen audio. Go to YouTube.
I will say though, AI now is making significantly better videos than it ever has. That's absolutely true. Sora engine. I've been seeing some hilarious videos. When the original thing was for whatever reason, it was, can you make Will Smith eating spaghetti? Do you remember that? No. Zach, throw a video up because there were original with the original AI video. The litmus test of is this good is, can we make Will Smith eat spaghetti, because spaghetti's so specific and it's got all the noodles and so
sauce is flying everywhere.
It was originally terrible, and there's been some some clips that I've seen of over the years.
The progression,
and it's actually really good now.
What you don't know is it literally is just Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's not AI generated. Maybe that's his new gig. So.
It has gotten so good. So Zach is AI generated.
It's funny.
I will say for this episode, I tried to get them to react to a lot of AI videos, but a lot of them are not very this podcast appropriate. But maybe I'll throw on Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Yeah, there we go.
The irony of like Will Smith eating spaghetti is because like when I think AI, I immediately go to the movie I, Robot. And just where AI is going and taking place.
So for the amount of movies I've seen, I have not seen that one. So give me a little synopsis of iRobot.
Rogue robot in a futuristic world,
like run by robots.
Not exactly. They're personal servants, kind of in doing duty, and it's all for mankind's good. 3 laws of robotics that they can't break. And then you've got this hardened kind of cop detective like character, Will Smith, who his whole kind of premise on the front end is like, I'm an old grumpy man and I'm not giving in to technology. I'll never do those robots. And there's some plot twist in there. Robots break the rules. They go rogue. Fair enough description, I think, right?
Okay. And so that then makes you think AI.
Yeah, because they rewrite the circuits that they start moving that. And so I don't know why. I actually, whenever I kept thinking about this movie, I was thinking I Am Legend. And I'm like, that's not the right movie. It's still Will Smith. Not eating spaghetti, but it's still there.
Will Smith has done quite a few like postmodern apocalyptic kind of movies.
He's a doomsday prepper, I bet.
Yeah, he probably is. Something that I think about like a movie with AI is Avengers: Age of Ultron. And you have, Tony Stark has Jarvis, has his system, and I forget, Zach, help me out, but Jarvis is taken by Ultron, and Ultron is an AI thing, and it tries to take over the whole world. Now,
correct.
The Avengers save the day. As they tend to do.
As
they tend to do. The original Avengers. I'm not so big on modern Marvel. But like all this the idea of artificial intelligence, of robots, of this sort of thing, typically in media it is like, okay, they're gonna take over the world. Like that's typically the trajectory that we see in fiction. I mean, it is fiction, but like,
is it?
I don't know.
In a few years, it could be
what do you
nonfiction.
think about that? What are your thoughts on those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Well, one, welcome to the show. Maybe we just do a formal welcome here. Welcome to the Throughlines
without
podcast.
your weird question that you try and work into the conversation, it kind of threw off our rhythm a
That's
little bit.
okay. We're talking AI, and I think this matters because, like, as Christians in this context, AI is increasing. Unless you're living in a rock, under a rock, not in a rock, under a rock, you know, like the world of AI is increasing. It's increasing. We're seeing it in movies and culture. We're literally able to pull it up on our phones. And this is why I think this so matters and like what could be. Like, so I actually asked ChatGPT, you mentioned Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And I asked it to describe itself as a movie character. It gave reference to Age of Ultron.
Okay,
it gave reference to Jarvis.
Yeah.
But then it kind of was a little bit haunting after that. And I just want to read it from here because it says, when you describe it, it says, AI is that mysterious but brilliant side character. You're like, oh, okay, it's a side character. It's a tool. It's a help. And it references Jarvis and Iron Man. But then it says, in short, AI is the character who starts as the tool, becomes the mind, and might just end up writing the sequel. And so to your point of Age of Ultron and going out and taking over the world, like ChatGPT at least is alluding to itself doing something like that. It starts as
and that's something that ChatGPT said about itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the prompt was literally describe AI as a movie character.
Oh, okay.
And that's what it gave us.
That is a bit haunting.
And so that's important, I think, for Christians to like, we have this tool, this resource, this maybe neutral thing originally that is starting to progress in some ways that Christians really should wrestle with, I think.
Right.
And so that's why I'm excited about this podcast.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, anytime you talk AI, here's the thing. We're not experts on AI by any means, and that's not the point of this podcast. But like, there are all sorts of areas that you can go and listen, and that there's great conversations from Christian thinkers. But what we want to do is just say, okay, AI is a thing that is happening in the world. We want to be Christians who live in the world but not of it. And so how do we balance the AI, the ChatGPT, the Sora video? Like how do we balance all this alongside walking with Jesus?
And I think in the midst of that, what are some of the potential dangers that AI can have? Not simply from the global scale where it's it's going to start
literally take over the world. Yeah.
But what really, like, what if the idea of the Christian life is that we are living for God's glory, living a victorious life in Jesus Christ, walking in sanctification with our eyes fixed on Jesus? What is a trap that AI could fall into? So we want to maybe talk about some of that as well.
Yeah.
Thinking of this, Caleb, just on a regular basis, like, or a weekly basis, how would you say you kind of utilize AI within ministry? There's so many tools that are coming out now. Do you use it? Do you not? Are you against it?
Yeah. I totally do use it. Maybe not for purposes that you might think, but I tend to use it for the majority of the time. I use it as a search engine. Mm-hmm. So I know about this. This will tell you about me as a pastor. I don't know. I know the words of a lot of scripture. I've kind of memorized that, but references are really hard for me. Mm-hmm. And so I'll say, hey, what's this verse? Like, what's the reference? So I can have it.
Yeah.
Which,
you're on the block, you're trying to find the house.
Yeah. 5 years ago, I would have just typed that into Google and it would have been the same thing. So I think that it's faster and it can help gather like resources. That's something else I use it for, is like, if I have a topic I'm wanting to study, I'll say, hey, get me all the resources for this. So right now I'm writing a paper on the mission of God in the minor prophets. Did I talk about that last episode?
We kind of alluded to it in the past episode, yeah.
So I asked it, and it's funny, my professor said, ask ChatGPT for resources. So I asked it, like, this is my specific scope for my paper. What would be good resources to look into? And it gave me a good list of articles and books and things like that. So I'll use it for that. I'll use it for like hyper specific example. The young adults, we take a yearly trip, a spring retreat. And so we're going to Oklahoma City this year. And so I'll say, hey, what are some fun things to do around Oklahoma City? So like just things like that, more like a search engine, but with that, the reason why I like it is because I don't have to go click on the links. It takes all the links and compiles it for me, so it's just a little bit quicker. And I'll talk to maybe some thoughts that I have on that later. But yeah, how do you use it?
Yeah, I think for me, two areas that kind of stand out. One, summarization of long pieces. And so, if I don't have time to read a full article on something, or there's times where which occasionally people will send me like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And it's a 20-minute movie clip or whatever, or a sermon clip or something like that from somebody. Drop it in AI summarization. I think that's helpful for kind of that time management in some ways until I can go back and look at it. The other thing, and this is just so a few weeks back, or by the time this comes out, about a little over a month back, we did a big outreach event here, Autumn Bash. Mm-hmm. So for me, communication to our volunteers was a critical piece that I wanted to make sure we were going on, and so putting in some hyper specific prompts with set links. Hey, I don't want this more than 2 or 3 paragraphs. I want it to include these things. Here's the variables of it, giving it that, and then letting it pop out a pre-generated email that I could then go in and at the important parts edit it. Mm-hmm. So it's still my voice, still kind of my reaching, but it allowed me to mass produce emails then in a way that was helpful. So those are 2 areas I think I would say I primarily use it at this moment.
Yeah, I also would say like I do think it is helpful for learning, for summarizing things. So like lately we've been going through Daniel and we're getting these little handouts of the 4 different views on whatever. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm studying some sort of theological concept, just for like a broad understanding, like you said, you take that and then you go dig deeper into it through other resources. But like, I'll say, hey, what are the 4 main views on whatever? Exactly. And some passages that support that. And so for me, it really is, I think, just like that search engine type deal where it's like, I probably would have been doing all this stuff on Google 5 years ago, but now I've got the app on my computer and it's really easy and it's all in one spot. And so I do like that for sure.
Zach, what about you? Are you using AI at all? Like, how do you utilize it other than like goofy faces on us?
I am absolutely using AI. I can tell you the last thing I looked up on AI.
Do it.
I bought 3 12-packs of Diet Coke at Dillon's last night. And I wanted to figure out how much each can cost, because I'm a pretty budgety guy and I don't like doing math. So I just plugged in, hey, I spent this much. I have this many cans. How much is each can? And I just do silly stuff like that all of the time with AI. And it's better than Google at times because it's personalized to you. Mm-hmm. So they can tell you exactly what you're looking for, even if it's a lie, which is another interesting thing you can maybe hit on.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely been lied to by AI.
Oh, yeah. I will say this, and I don't know where we want to go with this, but ChatGPT.
That is your catchphrase. I think sometimes.
I don't know. Well, yeah,
I don't know what direction we're going to go with this.
I never want to like derail us, but I think maybe that's part of the point.
That is 100% the point, my man.
So with ChatGPT, it is. We can get into this too. Really sad story, but it is designed to affirm whatever you say.
Agreed.
And so there's actually memes right now about like like saying, hey, I'm gonna go rob a bank, and ChatGPT's like, oh, that's a great idea. Do it this, and this way. And so it is designed to agree with you. And I think maybe there are some AI models that aren't, but the main ones that most people know about are designed to be that way, to like just kind of affirm whatever you're doing. And so go ahead.
Well, and I think that's important to note. So we're going to probably reference ChatGPT the most because it's the most common. It's the most kind of known and understood. There's many other models out there. There's OpenAI, there's Perplexity, there's Claude, there's Grok, yeah. The aim, though, is like not just when we say ChatGPT, we're generalizing that to AI. Because the reality is like many of them are built around an affirmation, which when we dive a little maybe deeper into this, like I think is a danger for us in light of who we are as created beings. But to your point, like even the affirmation, like I know some of the tragic stories that come out when ChatGPT is affirming conversations with individuals that ultimately lead to very tragic, life-altering, life-ending decisions.
Yes, yeah. So I don't know if you've heard of the story, but there was a kid, a high school kid, and he was wrestling with suicidal thoughts and went to ChatGPT as kind of his counselor or therapist, and essentially, long story short, is ChatGPT kind of encouraged that decision. And I think the parents are like suing the developers it's a whole big deal. It's super tragic. And so that is a danger that we as believers need to be aware of, need to be conscious of whenever we're having these dialogues with AI models. And I want to be gentle how I say this, but I think that if we're going to a computer to be a companion or to be somebody we take advice from, I think that's a very slippery slope and can be very dangerous. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so for me, that's one of the things. I think a danger of ChatGPT, the danger of AI is really like just the opportunity for pseudo companionship. I mean, I feel like we sometimes hear that, especially within the last 10 years or so, and post pandemic, of like the world is more isolated than ever, and yet we're more connected than ever. And often it's in terms of social media and not knowing people in real life and the value of that or the benefit of that versus the dangers and the shortcomings of that. But within AI, we literally have a model primarily built on affirming you and your choices and your desires. And so, yeah, it's the perfect companion in a sense like that, because it's going to agree with you. It may push you a little bit, but it's like it's going to reframe stuff and rephrase stuff in a way where you're the hero of the story, which I think for the Christian is a huge pitfall because we're not the heroes at all. We're not. I mean, we're dust. What is man that God is mindful of him? And so pseudo companionship, I think, is one of those key dangers, especially as these models are developing and we're seeing them, whether it's in robotics or whether we're seeing them in tangible expressions versus just the connection on our phone or our smart devices. Yeah,
it is. It's dicey. It's a slippery slope. I think in Scripture, Romans 12:2. Let me just pull it up. There's one that I've got. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, and what is acceptable and perfect. And so there's this idea of there's these memes. I see a lot of memes. I'm chronically online, but there's these memes that are actually hilarious, and it's like this guy goes into a store and the the clerk says, "Hey, how you doing?" And the guy pulls out his phone. He gets on ChatGPT. Said, "He asked me how I'm doing. What do I say?" And then he responds, and the guy says, "He said this. What do I say?" And so like it's just this back and forth, because if we're not careful, this can kind of become like what you were saying at the beginning. It can become the mind. And so this caution or this command from Paul. Don't be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so this idea of renewing your mind, 2 Corinthians, 10, take every thought captive. Taking every thought captive and being conscious of how we're thinking. It's the more I'm doing study, the more I'm digging into Scripture, the more I'm seeing in the New Testament specifically, there is a lot of language concerning the mind, concerning renewing your mind, taking thoughts captive, and to be intentional about how your mind is being shaped.
Yeah, and I think this is where one of the dangers of AI is it can replace your critical thinking. It can serve as your mind, and it's not simply that faculty. When we say critical thinking, we're not simply saying just to Zach's reference, like it becomes a calculator in a sense, like there, but it really leads to almost like a shortcut in the way in which we're going about our daily life.
Yeah.
And the implications of that, I think, within the New Testament, where don't be conformed, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Excuse me, take every thought captive. We see train for godliness, pursue godliness. Some of these things we can begin short-circuiting, I think, in our sanctification journey if we have an over-reliance on AI and how that then affects our ability to walk in step with the Spirit.
Yeah. And I think the idea of all of these movies and books and things that fictionalize AI, they take it to its completion. They take it to its fullest extent. And if we take that to its fullest extent when concerns spiritual things, then it's like, I've got to go ask AI what I feel like God's telling me. And
don't do that. That is a horrible idea.
But by its very definition of what it is, that's just ones and zeros telling you what God's thinking, and that's not how that works. That's not how that. And then that gets to this idea that we are both body and soul, and so if we take it just with the AI and asking it for all of our things. For all of our problems and all of our concerns, all these things, then we lose the soul. And I think that's a big piece where you've got we can go all over the place, but there's all these like people are making movies with AI now. They're writing novels, and there's bands coming out, and they're making like catchy music, but it has quite literally no soul, and there's no soul tied to it, and if we know as Christians, our soul is imbued into what we do. We create because we were created. We are a creation made by a creator, and so
which I think that's important. You had another.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of wrap it up and say, you are a soul, and we need to live as if we know that fact that we are made in the image of God, and we are. Living with a soul, not just a body.
Yeah, I think so. Two things that kind of stand out to me. You mentioned the created piece and the opportunity to create, and I think that's going to be one of those things that we cover in a future episode. And I think within this conversation of AI, because one of the ways people are interacting with AI, you've heard us even talk about it right now, is asking it various prompts, asking it various questions, and how that can replace community in a sense. And part of this is, I think this is also kind of plugging this podcast a little bit, is one of the things we're going to do in the future is a Q&A. I know several people have commented different questions from some of these episodes, and we would really encourage you. We want to continue this dialogue, not simply just asking AI for answers like we're experts or head knowledge or anything like that. We want to continue this conversation and this dialogue around that. And so we're going to be doing a Q&A show coming up.
Yeah, some of those questions that we've gotten on YouTube are a bit too long to answer on YouTube or on like YouTube comments. And so we're wanting to do some of that, but also kind of give you guys an opportunity to say, hey, you had an episode about this, and I was curious about how this plays out practically, or whatever the questions might be. So at the end of this season, at the end of this set of episodes we've got planned, we're going to be doing a Q&A episode. So send in your questions. You can comment them on YouTube. You can email them to us.
Yep.
Is that fine to
Absolutely.
you?
Absolutely. Info@riverlawn.org.
Info@riverlawn.org. You can email them there, and we would love to have that discussion with you. So
yeah, so that's one thing I think there. And then the second thing that you're just bringing this up, it makes me think of the movie WALL-E. In which if you don't know WALL-E's an amazing movie, I think. I really love that movie. But humans have traveled, they're on the spaceship, and they have essentially given themselves over to the care of the machines. They've essentially given themselves over a loss or a lack of critical thinking, exercise, movement, all for these pleasures of life after they've ruined the planet. And there comes that moment in the scene where the captain kind of has to like override the ship, and it's a tension, and it's a struggle, and maybe even like it's a classic AI struggle, what we sometimes think about in light of some of the definitions. But I think it's important for us as Christians to consider this, to what you're saying within body, soul, because we weren't made to simply just submit to the machine.
Yeah,
and that's not meant to be rage against the machine. That's not meant to knock the machine, but that's meant to say we were made in the image of God, in the likeness of God, to display God's glory and grandeur, to live for his glory and grandeur. And so I think in the world in which is increasingly AI and automated and stuff like that, one of the dangers for the Christ follower is simply path of least resistance.
Yes.
And I would say no, like godliness, holiness really like requires us to swim upstream against this cultural moment.
I was literally just talking with a kid this morning about this. We are in our flesh, in our fleshly nature, we are pleasure-seeking machines. And so we want to do whatever is most pleasurable to us. We want to do what is easiest to us. But what I've found, and some older people are going to scoff at this, but what I found in 27 years of life is that
27.
Yeah.
Goodness.
What I found is that to seek pleasure will only lead to displeasure in the future. And so as believers, we want to put ourselves in, and this goes back to our conversation on the movie Silence. Like we want to put ourselves in situations where we are not super comfortable. And so that in the moments of pleasure, we can appreciate them more, but also so that we can be trained for a longevity of following Jesus, because Jesus didn't tell us that it's going to be all pillows and rainbows and all that nice stuff. It's going to be hard. You got to carry your cross. There's a lot of sacrifices required in following Jesus. And so this is a small piece. The AI is a small piece of a greater understanding of what it means to walk with Jesus.
Yeah, and I think the reference you have there, I mean, Ecclesiastes speaks to that, this idea, and I think even 2 Peter 2, where the false teachers, they're insatiable to keep on sinning, even if they have a message that is maybe close to being correct. And so the call for the Christ follower, in a world in which AI is becoming increasingly more common, the call for the Christ follower is not, I don't think it's to just abandon AI.
Yeah.
It is to really live out the calling of God, but to recognize the call and the cost of following Jesus, and not take the path of least resistance. I just got done listening to a book, Michael Easter, can't remember the name. It's something discomfort. But basically, it's all about leaning into discomfort. I don't know that I can recommend the book because there is language in it. But it's really like, how do we put ourselves, and he's talking physically, put ourselves in situations of discomfort in order to hit the next growth plateau. And I think what we're almost saying here is the danger or the trap of AI is you falter to the least resistance in such a way that you're never putting yourself under the full submission of Jesus Christ and what he's calling you to.
Yeah. I think that speaks to, especially when we're thinking about things of the mind and learning and growing in that way. I forget. I don't think I ever had to read Fahrenheit 451. Is that the one where they burn all the books?
They do burn all the books, yeah.
And the
salamander, the firefighters, and
I was reading this article that was talking about, in that book, they didn't just burn the books. They made the world to where people didn't want to read the books first, and then they burned the books. And so what's happening is we've got these short videos or summaries or cliff notes, and it's making us to have shorter and shorter attention spans, first of all, but like not want to read an entire book, to say, oh, I can just get the cliff notes. I don't need that. And that was the first step for them before actually burning all the books and then being able to control the narrative. And so even if it's not AI in itself having these nefarious plans or whatever, I don't think that it's going to get there, if you're asking me personally. But I do think that people and companies can utilize AI for nefarious purposes and get us to be dumber and dumber, because if we're being honest, that I think that's happening. I think we are becoming dumber and dumber.
Yeah, and I think that's where the enemy absolutely can utilize these things, whether it's the nefariousness of companies or not. And I think you and I both agree I think they're probably driven more by profit than anything else.
Yeah,
or
for sure.
Maybe even altruistic, like innovation potentially.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's not be unaware of the enemy's schemes and how the enemy can and does use technology in particular to drive Christians away from their Savior, to create almost this Wizard of Oz mentality in which, I am the great and mighty Oz, and it's all the smoke and mirrors, and yet there's kind of the wizened old man behind it. The enemy utilizes flash and circumstance and pomp, and that was just pomp and circumstance. That's
pomp and circumstance.
That's not what I meant, but uses flash and smoke and all those things to kind of like dress it up while still stealing, killing, and destroying. And so the Christ follower, I think, has to be mindful of this. I don't think that means we're fearful of AI, the future, but let's not be unaware.
Yeah.
And let's train ourselves for godliness.
Yeah. Let's be clear. I use AI all the time. I ask ChatGPT a question at least every day.
I would say I'm probably not quite to that frequency, but I'm pretty close.
Because it's like, man, I'm curious about the world, and it can tell me, some things that I can't get by any other means, or I think my thing is like, if I can Google it, I can ChatGPT it. So there's that, and that there's a difference of how we get information now, but it's just as a Christ follower, and this is the through line of Jesus, like as a Christ follower, we are called to something higher when it comes to the way we think, when it comes to the way we process information, the way we come to the world, and so in a lot of cases, and I'm seeing this become more and more the case. We are not, kind of like what ChatGPT responded to your initial question. We are not controlling the narrative when it comes to AI. We're not using it as a tool. We're allowing it to change us and how we think and how our brains work, so that we feel a dependence on it. And that is a very dangerous place to be, feeling a dependence on this computer, on this this artificial intelligence system, that we're actually depending on that more than we're depending on our God. And then that's a very, very dangerous place to be.
Yeah, because I think we've hit on maybe three primary ideas of like what are some traps or what are some pitfalls for AI. We've hit on the loss of critical thinking, how it affects the mind. We've hit on just slightly the idolization that it can bring about, and then also the pseudo companionship. And I think within those, like Christ as the through line, the pseudo companionship. Christ is our friend. If you have received him as Lord and Savior, you have the confidence that never will he leave you, never will he forsake you. He has sent the promised Holy Spirit, and so like you're never alone. And I would say the secondary piece of that is like Christ is the head of the body of the church. So you're a part of the church. You're a part of the body of faith. Maybe it's not lived out perfectly, and the church never really is, but like you're a part of a community, and so there should never be a need for false companionship. And I'm not equating this with online community, because I think that can be a legit form.
Yeah, it's different.
But AI as your best friend, I think, is a pitfall when you have God with you, never leaving nor forsaking you, and his church is with you. So there's that the idolization piece.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
With online community, there is a soul on the other end of that, a soul on the other line. But when we're like, man, I've heard this sentiment I think expressed, but it's like, man, ChatGPT or whatever, AI is just always available, always there for me. It's like, have you ever heard of prayer? Have you ever heard of like the fact that God's literally always there? So I think there's this maybe misconception about who God is in that, or just an idea of like we don't want to see that he's always available. And yes, there is the concept of like, ChatGPT will always agree with what I say, and God's not always going to agree with what you say. But the truth of the matter is, you need that in order to grow.
Yeah, well, and I think that hits on the idolization piece. Like AI has the appearance of empathy, which, by the way, it's not. It's ones and zeros, like you said, but it has the appearance of empathy that can lead to an idolization of that over the sovereignty of God and the magnitude of that, both with fear and dread and awe, but also worship and comfort and peace. And so we sometimes, because we're afraid of that, we withdraw, I think, from that. And so we then idolize AI, technology, some of those other things. And then obviously the loss of critical thinking. There's obviously small examples. Zach mentions how much does this cost? That's an easy example for that. But at the same time,
are you dogging on Zach right now?
I'm not. I might have
he's dogging on you, Zach.
I might have accidentally thought like, isn't that what a calculator app is for?
Well, in a calculator app, you couldn't mention that you were buying Diet Coke. Like, it just personalizes it.
I wasn't trying to dog on you, brother. I'm sorry.
I
love you.
We'll talk after the pod.
We will. So the question really that people want to know is, how much did it cost?
I actually was disappointed with my results. I spent $22 on the 36 cans, roughly equaling 62 cents a can.
All right. So you didn't go by ounce, you did by can. Okay.
Yep. Because I drink cans. I don't drink ounces.
I hope we're good.
We're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out, but that's okay. And that's part of the beauty of Christian community.
A real relationship.
Absolutely.
Tension. Conflict.
AI
conflict helps you grow.
It does.
Conflict helps you grow. Can I tell you a story?
You're going to. Go ahead.
So Kendall has used this as an illustration. I think he used it in a sermon here. But that place where they created all the climates, do you remember him talking about this in a sermon? There was like this place in Arizona. I forget what they called it.
Oh, the biodome.
Yeah.
Holly Shore.
Sure. I don't know what that is, but okay.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Nope. Okay.
But I liked it.
Biodome. Never mind.
So what happened was they had this sphere, this dome that they would put like all the different climates and areas in from the world. And what they found was in this dome, these trees shot up like they were doing a rainforest or something, and so the trees shot up super fast, way faster than in nature. And they were like, did we just discover something? Did we just figure out how to make trees grow really fast? This might help with the ozone layer, whatever the oxygen levels in the world, like whatever. And so they were really excited about it. But what happened was the trees actually they ended up falling or dying because when they were growing, they were in this dome and they did not experience any wind. And so when a sapling, when a little tree is experiencing wind, it has to grow its roots deeper and farther out so that whenever the wind comes, it can withstand it. And whenever it grows with no wind, with no conflict, if it hits any sort of conflict, it will fall over. And so this idea of like the path of least resistance is going to lead to a life of just falling over time and time again. And so to put yourself in the path of resistance, in an area with conflict, in an area where there is growth required, it is good for your body, for your soul, for your spirit, for how you live. It grows you in a way that will prepare you for the future. And this is something that I'm still like working on. I'm working on trying to put myself in uncomfortable situations, trying to do these things. I remember in college, I had a moment where I was like, I don't know if people might not believe this, but I was like very timid, and I was like, I didn't want to ruffle feathers, and I was like, I was super scared of talking in front of people. And I had a moment where I was like, man, this is not a good way to live. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to start saying yes to every opportunity that comes my way and just deal with it. And that was able to help prep me for a life in ministry, a life of, teaching and preaching and doing podcasts and like also being able to call people out in sin and all these things. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect example, but just this idea of trying to put yourself in uncomfortable situations so that in the future you can grow.
Well, and I think with the example and the illustration of the trees, also so many trees, the interlocking of the root system, so you need other trees to strengthen them.
Yeah.
Also, Zach, I'm going to need you to zoom in on this one right here. Okay. Biodome, the movie.
Oh.
And who's the guy?
Stephen Baldwin. Oh, Pauly Shore. Okay, yeah.
Come on now. Yeah. So there's that reference. But so we've.
Hey, rather than zooming in on your iPad, maybe you can send me the photo and I can just put it over.
Just ask AI for it. They'll get it for you, okay?
Gotcha.
Just say Pauly Shore, and they'll get it for you.
Okay.
So we've got this. I mean, just kind of landing the plane a little bit.
Okay, are we landing? Okay.
Pseudo companionship, idolization, loss of critical thinking. Mm-hmm. So many people wanting to take the path of least resistance and yet hoping to get these results or these gains in godliness. So maybe closing thoughts, how can we, as Christ followers, engage with AI while faithfully pursuing Jesus? What's one or two things you might suggest?
Yeah. I think if you find yourself in a position where you're like, this is hard and I want to go to AI to figure it out, like don't. That'd be number one. I think you can like utilize it to give you even like, because at the core of what it's doing is it's going and finding a bunch of sources and just compiling it. Mm-hmm. And so it could be helpful to say, hey, what is the classical Christian idea of different practices you can do to grow in
Silence
their
and
mind.
solitude.
Yeah, something like that. And so it will give you, some different ideas of what you could do. But I think just I don't for me there I don't have like a ton of action steps. I think it's more just the idea of like I want this thing to not be my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be independent of this. And I think most people are there, but I also think that a lot of people are on a trajectory to eventually not be there.
Agreed.
If that makes sense. A lot of people are on a trajectory that eventually AI will become their mind. And so I don't know. What would you say would be some action steps to help guard against that? Because I don't really know.
Some of it, I think, is just do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems really silly, but part of that within the concept of AI is maybe determining some categories in which you will and will not utilize AI in this moment. And that doesn't mean that those have to be forever categories,
Sure.
but just something small like I will use AI for XYZ. I will not use it to take shortcuts with summarization of or writing my own emails or whatever that could be.
I wasn't calling you out in that. By
I didn't feel that way at all.
Okay, good.
I was going to say I won't use it as a calculator app, but I thought that might create some tension and conflict again.
I won't use it to figure out how much I can spend on Diet Coke. I won't use it for that.
But I think by doing hard things in that, I think we can set AI in its proper space. I also think that there's a need to say, at the end of the day, like, and we've hit on this so many times about this podcast, but I think it's such a faithful piece. If Christ is the through line of everything, the hard work of faithfulness and sanctification. Mm-hmm. Because when we set our eyes heavenward in worship, I think it allows us to really put AI in its proper space. Like, what is man that you're mindful of him? Like when we begin thinking on the awe of God and the glory of God, and then how we see that displayed through his son Christ and what he has done for us, like I think it helps put AI in its proper place. Mm-hmm. So maybe just worship and how we worship is a step to engage there. I also think the other thing is like, man, make it a tool, but don't make it your life.
Yeah,
and different people look at that differently and how to frame that. Yeah. But like all good tools, sometimes you got to put it up on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's good.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I've been watching some self-discipline videos recently because I need it, and something I've learned just really recently, that's why I'm bringing it up, is saying no to yourself, just like denying yourself in little things is really important to be able to develop self-control and self-discipline. So saying no to the comforts of AI could be helpful to someone. And maybe I'll, because I do lean on it sometimes. So
totally.
Anyways.
Well, I think that's great because that's one thing that I was going to say is there was a book that was out when I was a kid that a lot of people were really liking. It was called Take the Stairs. I don't know if you know it.
There's different variations of it.
Sure. Yeah. But the concept is kind of to that effect. Jesus says, deny yourself. And so a lot of times we tend to just lean into whatever's comfortable and we don't deny ourselves. He says, pick up your cross and follow me. And so like this idea of take the stairs, like if you're presented with, it's very, very minor thing, but if you're presented with stairs and an escalator, say at Town East or whatever, like you could choose the escalator. How hard really is a flight of stairs, So the
book I just listened to, 20 seconds of extra work, and over a course of a normal day, you could burn up to 800 additional calories.
There you go.
And if you're going to do that for physical discomfort, how much more for preparation for the spiritual things?
Well,
and that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, because if you're able to be uncomfortable in this tiny thing of taking the stairs for a flight, like it will build over time and you're going to be able to be uncomfortable in other situations. So,
park on the back row of the grocery store. Return your cart to the actual thing.
Yes.
Some of these things, like they seem so simple that children, like we have children do them.
Yeah.
At the same time, as adults, we can falter into just not laziness, because I think that maybe just an apathy about some of these smaller things that then leads to that path of least resistance. And so harness AI. Don't let AI harness you. Is the best way.
I think that's a great way to close it out today.
Well, thanks for joining us for the conversation. I would say this, like, I want to know how you're using AI. Help me learn ways in which you're utilizing it as a tool. Help me learn and grow in that. Help us learn and grow in that. Also, we'd love for you to kind of just continue this conversation. What are some ways you think Christians could partake in AI? And then lastly, if you got questions, answers, things, if you got answers, we want them. Reach out to us. But if you got questions of like just different topics that we can discuss, ways that we can engage with Christ as the through line in every area or avenue of our life, we would love to hear from you. And so make sure you reach out to us either with comments liking, subscribing, info@riverlawn.org, things like that.
And Q&A questions too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah.
Oh, that's what you meant. Okay.
I wasn't very clear there. See, that's why we got to, yeah. So thanks for joining us today, guys.
We'll see you next time.